Y'all already know what time it is. Y'all already know what time it is. Sheesh! We about to talk about Demon Slayer? Man, look, I'm either gonna get a lot of people heated or I'm gonna make a lot of people happy with this. So let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, you guys? Chase the Dark Sage here, back with another video, and today we're reviewing the Demon Slayer manga, which is 23 volumes long and I believe 205 chapters. Now this series I was reading along with my community on Twitch. You could go ahead and check out my plug channel and see all the manga book club meetings we have done for this series. I'll even leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. We have read Demon Slayer all together, and we have all come to the conclusion that, well, Demon Slayer, it's not good. Sales does not equal quality. That's definitely one thing that I have found when I was reading this series. And I've always noticed because I'm pretty big into hip hop. And just because someone sells well doesn't mean they're a great rapper. Now, there are a lot of great rappers that do sell well, but there's also a lot of great rappers that don't sell well, if you get what I'm saying. So I want to preface this now. I went into Demon Slayer with no bias. In fact, I actually went into it with a little bit of bias from the anime, because the anime is so beautiful. The anime is so rich and gorgeous when it comes to the visual. The storytelling was severely lacking. In fact, when it was JJK versus Demon Slayer time, I was on the side of JJK because I feel like the story had more potential of where it was going rather than where Demon Slayer is going. Demon Slayer has a pretty bland story overall, and after reading that, I could confirm that it has a pretty bland story overall. It has pretty bland characters as well. In fact, there's nothing really redeeming about Demon Slayer, honestly, if you are at least an intermediate fan of manga. But before we get into the video, before we actually talk about Demon Slayer and give you my thoughts on Demon Slayer, and I'm not here to bash Demon Slayer, but when it comes to the pros and cons section of this video, it looks like I'm gonna be bashing it. But before we get into the video, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me on all my other social media platforms. All my links will be in the description down below. So, let's get into it. Also, I do want to give you guys a heads up that there will be a spoiler talk at the end of the video, but everything else will be timestamped in the description down below or on the video player, so you can skip to whatever part you want to hear me talk about, but there will be a spoiler talk at the end of this. That way you guys can have the spoiler-free review, then we can have a little bit of a spoiler discussion, and we're not going to be spoiling it in the comment section for the first 2 months. I'll say that, for the first 2 months. After that, we could get to spoiling. So let's go ahead and get into the plot of Demon Slayer. Let's talk about what the series is about. So the plot consists around the character of Tanjiro Kamado, the eldest brother of his 5 other siblings. One day he goes out to run an errand in the city for his family. While he's on his way back, he is persuaded by a neighbor to stay the night because it is getting late. After he wakes up, he heads home to see his whole family has been slaughtered, with the only one member surviving, his younger sister Nezuko. Nezuko seems to have been turned into a demon, but is able to overtake her demon urges. Because of this, Tanjiro joins the Demon Slayer Corps, vows to make Nezuko human again, and swears to take down Muzan, the one who turned his sister into a demon. Now, with that plot, I will say, Demon Slayer follows that plot line. It doesn't really divert anything away from that. It generally stays on the actual plot line. In fact, there's really not any deep interwoven story inside of Demon Slayer. It really just follows that storyline beat for beat, and sadly it is predictable in a lot of instances to where that you're not really surprised at any of the stuff. I will say half of the series I did enjoy. The other half of the series, well, it's kind of been animated, and trust me, the way to ingest the actual Demon Slayer series would be best done in the anime instead of the manga. And I will say with the plot, it didn't really do anything in terms of innovating the shonen tropes or innovating the shonen wheel that we're used to actually going through. In fact, it's pretty standard. And in some parts, it's really just subpar overall. And the plot really doesn't leave enough room, especially with 205 chapters, for a lot of growth with a lot of the established characters, which is the next point that we're actually going to be talking about, the characters. The first character we're going to talk about is Tanjiro. The main character of this series, his goal is to turn his sister Nezuko back into a human and defeat Muzan. He's pure, sympathetic, and a bit too nice in my opinion. Next character we have up is Nezuko, Tanjiro's sister, who is a demon but hasn't succumbed to Muzan's control. She doesn't have the ability to talk, but everyone generally understands her. Another character of the main crew we have is Zenitsu, the crybaby of the group. He's super powerful and efficient in his first form thunder breathing when he sleeps. Also, he's a simp for Nezuko. Inosuke, the hot-headed, loud-mouthed member of the group. Initially meeting him, his personality is over the top, wacky, and zany. Oh, it still is throughout the whole series. Don't think that just because I said it from the beginning doesn't mean it's going to stop at the end. No, no, no. It's the same thing throughout the whole way. We also have the Hashiras, the highest ranked demon slayers, who each represent an element of breathing. And we have Muzan, the lead villain of the series, who's trying to defeat the demon slayer corps and find a way to live within the sunlight since, you know, demons perish within the sunlight. And honestly, when it comes to the characters of Demon Slayer, some of them have great concepts and great designs in the animated version. I will tell you this right now, the anime definitely brings the source material to life, and it's the best thing that can happen to the source material because a lot of the characters look funky, they look ugly, they look like doo-doo in the manga. Sorry to say that, but they just don't look right compared to their anime counterparts. And like I said, my first experience with Demon Slayer is in the anime. So seeing the Hashiras in the anime and actually looking in the manga to see the Hashiras, they don't look as fearsome or as awesome like they do on the actual anime front. And I know there's things like the visuals, the colors. There's so many things that go into actual anime designs when it comes to making a character pop up off the screen. Well, with the manga, sad to say, they don't really have a lasting effect on you with a lot of these Hashira designs or a lot of the other character designs in general. In fact, Muzan is one of the most unmemorable villains when it comes to actual characters. And design-wise, to me, he doesn't have a great design until we get into the end part of Demon Slayer, which you guys have probably seen on the actual box set, which is a huge spoiler. I don't know why Viz did that, but it's a really huge spoiler on the manga box set. But to me, that is my favorite design of Demon Slayer, or at least one of my favorite designs. I think Akaza has a pretty good design as well, and the actual upper rank one demon. But I will say, there's not that many great designs when it comes to actual Demon Slayers. In fact, a lot of the other demons, the actual enemies that they fight throughout the series, they're very forgettable. Like, some of them are memorable, but a lot of them are actual just forgettable characters. You sometimes wonder, why did some of these characters get a backstory? Why were these characters expounded upon? You could have been using that time to create greater characterization for characters who are actual supporting cast of the main cast. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Now let's go ahead and get to the pros and cons of Demon Slayer. And honestly, I really don't have that many pros. I'm gonna be straight up with you right now. I'm looking at my notes right now. I only have 3 pros. Now the cons, y'all not gonna want to see that, but y'all about to hear that in a second. The moments that are serious are awesome. Like Tanjiro being stabbed in the jaw in the entertainment district arc. Oh my gosh. That part in that arc was so awesome. I think that whole fight choreography, well, not fight choreography, but the moments with Tanjiro getting really beat up, getting stabbed in the jaw, he was just looking tore up. I think that those are some of the awesome moments. The most awesome moments in Demon Slayer is when Tanjiro is getting beat up. He's looking like he's bloody to a pulp, and there's looking like there's no hope for Tanjiro. Those are some of the greatest looking moments of Demon Slayer. There's not a lot of great looking moments, I'm sorry, but those are some of the greatest ones. I also want to make a note that the art progressively gets better. Now at the beginning, I really didn't like the artwork. I felt that it looked a bit scratchy. It looked a bit raggedy. It didn't really look good. Some of the character designs, I really wasn't feeling them at the beginning, but I will say that some of the backgrounds actually did look great compared to the actual characters that were in front of these backgrounds. But over time, the mangaka does up her artwork, and it does make the characters look progressively better over time. I will say that you don't really notice a character change. Like, you don't see like a character getting like tonally bigger like you would see with Deku and My Hero Academia. But overall, I feel like these characters get more of a steady design rather than the raggedy looking design that they had at the beginning, where they just don't look as defined as I would like them to look. And my last pro is that, well, I enjoyed the later half of Demon Slayer rather than the first half. And the first half is probably the stuff that you've seen up to where the anime is animated by the time of me recording this video, which is up from the first arc of Demon Slayer to the entertainment district. So basically, I really didn't like any of that stuff right there, but everything after the entertainment arc, I generally liked a lot of that stuff. And the ending, the ending is an ending. I'll just say that. But I did like everything from chapters 107 to chapter 200. I will say that. I liked everything between chapter 107 to 200. The Swordsmith Village arc and the Infinity Castle arc. I really did like that. Now it's time for me to get to the cons of Demon Slayer, and let's go ahead and shoot through these. First con I have is elements established early on is later negated, seen as a waste when later events happen or never really fully utilized. And I'll touch more upon this in the spoiler talk, but trust me, there's a lot of things that are like just made for that arc specifically. It's never like later touched upon or referred back to later on within the series. There is one thing, but besides that one thing, nothing else that Tanjiro learns is later utilized within the series. And I kind of hate that because it introduces a lot of unique and dope concepts, but it doesn't really execute on them well. Another con I have is that the art is not that great, meaning when it comes to a fight, it's not going to look that good. I will say that the anime is the best way to view some of these fights, because a lot of times in the manga, it was very confusing to see certain things actually drawn. And I think one of the worst things you could draw in manga is elements like water and fire, because you really can't tell what's happening or what's on the screen, if it's fire or not, or if it's wind. And you know, all these Hashiras, all these demon slayers, they actually work within a realm of an actual breathing element like fire, water, wind, earth. You know, it's just stuff like that where it's like, it just is really hard to tell what's happening on the actual panel itself every now and then. But like I said, in the anime, it looks beautiful, it looks gorgeous, and I'm gonna have to knock a point on that for Demon Slayer's manga. Another con I have is that the art, it already looks goofy enough, so when they do the comedy, they don't even look as goofy compared to the actual serious tone of the art. Now, when the character's in focus, good. The art is all right. When the character's not in focus, they just have this goofy looking design in the background. And I can tell the mangako's just trying to probably hurry up and get to the next panel, but it just is really lackluster to see certain backgrounds and you see a character that you think looks dope and it just look goofy or awkward in the background, just bug-eyed basically. I think that looks bad. I'm so used to having either gorgeous backgrounds or having no backgrounds with characters being in the forefront. That's what I'm used to. Another con I have is a lot of butt pulls or a lot of convenient flashbacks with characters we know, but we never seen these interactions until the actual fight that they're in. And I will touch upon this one also in the spoiler talk as well. But there are a lot of moments in the Demon Slayer manga where characters in trouble or they need that, you know, that character growth moment during the fight. And instead of us actually seeing this prior in the story, it just cuts to a flashback of when we actually should have been seeing this, but instead they had this conversation off screen and they decide to refer to it on screen during a flashback, during a fight, to actually motivate the character to keep going, which I didn't like. I kind of like when characters actually call back on certain moments that I remember or I think that is memorable, especially when it comes to great characterization or great character defining moments. They don't do that in Demon Slayer. Like, a lot of these conversations that these characters have are off screen and they recall back to it during the flashback when they're in trouble and they need to sift through their brain to find a strategy to defeat these opponents. I know it's a common shonen trope, but at least in a lot of other shonens, you see those scenes play out, then you get to the fight, and then they recall back on that scene that we already seen. But in Demon Slayer, we never see the scene. The character calls back to it, and it's a scene that we should have seen already since it's been within the Demon Slayer universe that has been started by the time we actually start reading it. I think that it wasn't clever writing. It wasn't great writing. It wasn't a callback to anything. There was no foreshadowing. I just hated that. There was not that much foreshadowing in the Demon Slayer manga. And I was really saddened by that because Demon Slayer has so much potential with some of the stuff that they set up at the beginning, but it doesn't pay off in the end. Another con I have is that Tanjiro is too sympathetic. Sometimes I feel that Tanjiro, he feels for the demons a bit too much. And I understand why, because his sister is a demon. So he knows that all these demons were humans at one point. But these demons have been killing hundreds of thousands of people and have been running amok for years to come. And you want to feel sorry for these demons because you finally get to know their backstory. I get it. You're trying to humanize the demons. As a reader, it doesn't work for me because I don't sympathize with the demons. And none of the backstories, there's 2 backstories throughout this whole series why I sympathize for the character. 2. But it didn't make me want to sympathize for them becoming a demon. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't feel sorry for any of the demons. I get it. You're trying to make Tanjiro, you know, the person that's like, these demons were human before. They have emotions. They were actually people before this. I don't give a F as a reader. They're bad. I know they're bad. They've been killing people since I've known them. Get them out of here. Another con I have is that there is just too many cast members. There's the Hashiras, there's Tanjiro, there's his main group of friends that he travels with. There's so many other demons that we get to meet as well, especially the upper rank. Then we have the lower rank demons. Oh my god, there are so many characters. And for a 205 chapter manga series, no characterization at all. None of these characters are good. None of these characters stand out. In fact, most of these characters at most times are annoying, generic, or boring. Oh my gosh, this is the worst set of cast members I've ever read in manga. And it's sad to say that because I really wanted to like Demon Slayer. I really wanted to like it. But none of these characters stand out. There's goofy, funny moments, yeah. And with a serious tone, like slaying demons, trying to kill demons. You know, these demons are ruthless killers. none of these characters really stand out. There is no character growth. There's no character, well, there is a bit of character development. It's not the greatest though. It's nowhere near the greatest. And honestly, this is one thing that I have to fault the manga on, is that it's too short. I know I said the same thing for Bleach, but this manga is too short. For all these characters to be in here, this manga is too short. There is no backstory for any of these characters. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. We have Naruto. Naruto was over 700 chapters, but guess what? All those characters that you know of in Naruto, they have some type of backstory, and guess what? Some of your favorite characters might not actually be the main character like Naruto or Sasuke. It might be like Shikamaru, Rock Lee, Choji for all people. I don't know if your favorite character is Choji or not. But the reason that these characters are great, especially with characterization, is that Masashi Kishimoto had the time to flesh out all these characters. In a 205 chapter manga, you cannot establish all these characters, make all these characters likable, make all these characters relatable, make these characters interesting. You just can't do that. There's not enough time when it came to this manga's length. And I know I just went on a whole rant, but let's just be real. Characters are one of the best parts, if not the most important part when it comes to writing a story, because if you have a bad story, at least you can have some great character moments. And honestly, there's not really that many great character moments. Now, the anime does exemplify some of these moments, but in the manga, it's so rushed past that you don't even notice it, and you really don't even care to even stop and think about what's happening. Another thing, like I said earlier about the backstories, none of these villains are good. Only 2 villains have actual alright backstories. Alright. Not good, not great. 2 alright backstories. You don't even get the alright from me anymore. You get the I. You got 2 backstories for 2 villains in this actual manga. Besides that, none of these villains are good. None of these villains are compelling. None of these villains are memorable. It's just like the writer just like, hey, villains, let's just throw them out of here. And the worst part is the 2 best villains are at the end of the actual series itself. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, it's not Muzan. Muzan's not one of the greatest villains. Muzan is such a forgettable villain within this series because his presence is lacking. And that's the sad part about it. If you're gonna have a villain as menacing as Muzan within this world, his presence needs to be known as a reader to me. Like, his presence is so lacking. I didn't even fear him when I was reading the pages. I was just like,
okay, he's just some pale, white, goofy-looking guy.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't feel no fear for Muzan. To me, he was a clown. Now, 2 of the demons, oh my gosh. 2 of the demons, great designs, backstory, and god dang it, they was just fierce when it came to actually fighting. But Muzan does have an actual dope, you know, he has a dope looking design at the end. But like I said, it's spoiled if you see the manga box set already. And the last con that I have for Demon Slayer is that it's a lot of backtracking. And what I mean by this is, you know, when you play something like Pokemon and you go fight a Pokemon trainer, then you gotta go to Nurse Joy. You get what I'm saying? Gotta heal up. You fight another Pokemon trainer after that, going back to Nurse Joy because you gotta heal up again. Then you gotta go fight the gym boss. Gotta go back to Nurse Joy, gotta heal up again. That is every single goddamn arc in Demon Slayer. Oh my gosh, what was the mangaka thinking? She could not have thought that that was a good idea. Oh, it's a lot of backtracking. I don't even like backtracking when it comes to video games. And the best part about it is, at least they fast travel to it. But guess what? This is not a video game. This is a manga, a story I'm reading. Why are we backtracking? We backtrack after every single goddamn arc. It's not fun. It's not amusing. It's not entertaining. It's not good at all. Whew. That was it for the cons. That was it for the cons. Whew. That was a lot. That was a lot. But yes, guys, that is about it for the actual Demon Slayer manga. My rating for this series has to be a strong 4 out of 10, weak 5 out of 10. This series is alright. It's not good. It's not great. Nowhere near a masterpiece. It's alright. You get what I'm saying? Like I said, it doesn't even get the alright. It gets the I. You missing the R and the L in there. You get the I. This series is not good. It doesn't excel at anything. It doesn't reinvigorate the wheel of shonen. It doesn't do none of that. It's not good. I will say this. This series is literally meant for people who are starting out in manga. If you are intermediate, if you've read stuff like Dragon Ball Z, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Berserk, One Piece, Bleach, don't go to Demon Slayer. That's level 1. If you're going to like something like from the big 3, that's at least like level 3. Get it, because level 3, big 3. Just don't go to Demon Slayer because you're going to get way less, especially in terms of characterization of world building compared to Naruto, Bleach, or One Piece. I will say that right now. I know it's really hard to attain a series like that, but there are a lot of other great shonens as well, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That's a great, great shonen. And I will say with Demon Slayer, it doesn't excel at anything. The art's not good, the characterization is not good, the world building is not good. The designs is not good. There's really not that much great going for Demon Slayer. Now, I am happy that the manga has seen so much success from Demon Slayer, But honestly, the series overall just feels rushed. And I know a lot of people have a big problem with the ending. And I don't really like the ending necessarily, but I will say that there is no problem that I have with the ending that I do not have with the whole series. A lot of people say the ending is rushed. Have you not read the previous 200 chapters that it felt rushed? I don't know. That's just me. The whole series feels rushed. But honestly, I can see someone enjoying this. I had a fun time with Demon Slayer, but I'm here for a fun time. Not a long time, you get what I'm saying? With YouTube, I'm here for a long and fun time. But with Demon Slayer, I'm just there for a fun time. And sometimes it wasn't fun. Sometimes it was actually a chore to read through Demon Slayer. But I wanted to actually give an unbiased opinion of the series because I see a lot of people talk about it, and I wanted to experience the series for myself. I will say none of these characters are likable. A lot of these moments are not memorable. The later half of the series is more memorable than the first half. And the first half is stuff that you guys seen in the anime, and you guys love the anime. A lot of people love the anime. The stuff in these later arcs, oh man. Oh, it's heat. It's heat when it gets animated. It'll be heat when it gets animated. Let me face that. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching. This is the end of the non-spoiler talk. This is the end of the spoiler-free review. So if you are not caught up or if you do not want to be spoiled, click off this video right now. I need you to like and subscribe if you have not already. Go ahead and do that stuff for your boy right now. Like I said, this is your only warning. We're doing the spoiler talk. So let's actually go ahead and get into some of the spoiler talk. Now, the first thing I want to bring up in this spoiler talk is that the two backstories I actually enjoyed reading through Demon Slayer has to be Akaza's and the upper rank demon ones, who's actually related / the brother of the first sun-breathing Demon Slayer. I did enjoy that fact, and it was pretty fun. The fights between Akaza and the upper rank demon with all the other Demon Slayer corps, I think that they were dope, but I just hate the fact of the way that they died. And the way that they died within the manga was kind of like in Naruto in the 4th Grade Ninja War, where you had all the characters that were reincarnated or reanimated essentially, and they remembered a good memory of why they were doing what they were doing, then they'd pass away. Well, that happens with these demons because they're super powerful to where the characters that are fighting them can't beat them, and so they beat themselves essentially. And I just thought that was a cop-out. I thought that was such a huge cop-out. That arc had such great things going for it, and that's one of my favorite arcs, actually. The Infinity Castle arc and the Swordsmith Village arc. The Swordsmith Village arc, the actual demons in that one, trash. But in the Infinity Castle, oh my gosh. It was Smoke Central in there, baby. I loved it. I loved it. That was when we got some actual great character moments. Character moments, not character development, because a lot of the character developments, like with Inosuke and Zenitsu, those are some of the worst backstories I have ever seen when it comes to actually tying it in with the villain and the character that we're actually referring to in that moment. Oh my gosh. The backstories for Inosuke and Zenitsu were so god-awful, so coincidental, that it didn't even make for a fun time. You waited almost 150 chapters to give me a backstory on Zenitsu and Inosuke when we've been with them like 100 chapters before now? What the? And since I was talking about Inosuke and Zenitsu, I will say that these are the worst supporting cast members / main characters that I've ever been with within a manga. And the reason being is that there's no character growth with these characters. There's no great characterization with these characters. These characters come off way more annoying than they actually do helpful. And in fact, they come off so annoying to where in the Swordsmith Village arc, when they're not even in that arc, the arc is way more enjoyable. The arc where Tanjiro's training right after that, more enjoyable. When it got to the Infinity Castle, when they're just fighting and not having, you know, character bonding moments, it was actually enjoyable. The less that Inosuke and Zenitsu talk, the more enjoyable Demon Slayer is. So that means that the first 100 chapters I went through, oh my gosh, it was such a bug down to get through. Oh my gosh. But there are some funny moments when Zenitsu's being a simp. When Zenitsu is being a simp, that is prime Zenitsu moments. But the whole Zenitsu thing, when he's asleep, he's powerful, when he's awake, he's scary, I didn't buy it. And especially when it comes to his backstory with one of the upper rank demons, when he was serious and he was awake and fighting. Why? That means Zenitsu was only asleep twice when he was fighting, and in this arc, he was awake, fighting well. So you're a competent fighter, but you fall asleep, and that's how you fight? That makes no sense. And then in the entertainment art district, why is Zenitsu talking in his sleep? Why? Another thing I want to touch upon is that some of the elements that weren't fully explored or utilized, like the swords changing color, that was literally thrown at the beginning of the series and literally at the end. There was nothing in between to actually signify any changing of the color of the swords. And in a manga like Demon Slayer, it will benefit a lot from color, because a lot of times you can't tell nothing happening with these color changes. The only time I knew a color was changing was when a character said the color was changing, when a character noticed or noted that the sword was changing. Besides that, I didn't know that. No one else knew that. In fact, it wasn't even a thing until the end of the series, which is crazy because you want to make a call to that at the beginning, but it only comes into effect at the end when the reader basically forgot about it and doesn't even care about it anymore. In fact, it just doesn't make any sense because it's not even really delved upon what the color changing actually signifies itself. Can it change different colors? Can it change blue? Can it change red? Can it change yellow? That's not explored. The only color that we see is red. That's it. And I also want to talk about how the breathing came about. Now I know they could do something like this with the light novel, or maybe with the anime they could expound upon it, but all we know is that the first breather, or the sun breather, was the one who made all the different forms of breathing, and all those different forms of breathing come from sun breathing. You're not going to tell me how this character knows how to do fire, this character knows how to do water, this character knows how to do wind. Yes, they're all from sun breathing, but not every character could do sun breathing. Some of them could do multiple elements, some could only do one. And it's just not explained how he divvied upon all these elements to actually make other forms of breathing. It's just not explored at all, really. The mark's origin is also never really explained either. We know that the first sun breather had it. We know Tanjiro has it. We know the people around Tanjiro would get it. And if you get it, you'll die after a certain age. I believe the age of 25. But it's not actually really talked about where the mark came from. Who is this mark signifying from? Is this a lineage thing? Like what? Like it never tells us, it never explores that actual aspect itself. And there's just a lot to be left with when it comes to the mystery of the mark. Now, I hope they don't do a sequel to explain the mark. I don't need that. I really don't need that. Yeah, I really can't say anything else. The mark was just such an unneeded thing. It was such a BS power-up, basically. And can we also talk about the spider blue lily while we're on the subject of things that weren't fully utilized? Muzan at the beginning of the series was looking for the spider blue lily. And I thought that this was going to be an important aspect of the series, and these guys were going to find it before Muzan. Well, Nezuko obviously talks and she survives in the sunlight. And Muzan basically just says, F the spider blue lily. I don't need that no more. Nezuko, I'm on my way to you, baby girl. You get what I'm saying? And I'm just like, you spent all this time for the spider blue lily thing. In fact, you probably spent most of your life looking for this. And you drop it as a dime now that you found a demon that actually survived in the sunlight? That's just a waste of concept. Why would you waste my time with that when that wasn't going to play any type of later role in defeating Muzan? I just thought that it was stupid and it was dumb. Last thing I want to touch upon is Tanjiro being able to see his ancestors' past. That one was a doozy. It calls for a lot of butt pulls. All Tanjiro had to do was just look in his past, see how to do something. He was like, oh, I see how they do it. I can do that as well. And then he does it. Hence the Hinokami Kagura dance. Hence the sun breathing. Hence the transparency world. Everything that we see in this, Tanjiro is just able to look at his past. He's never able to develop things on his own. It's just crazy that Tanjiro sees something and then he's like, I can do that. And then he does it. He doesn't have to practice, doesn't have to train. He's just able to do it. I didn't like that aspect, and I really didn't like the aspect of the fighting spirit and Tanjiro having the sense of, if I don't have the intent to kill him, he won't know I'm coming to kill him. But you're trying to kill him, so that makes no sense at all. You're psyching yourself out to not do something, but you're doing it. Your body is naturally doing it, so someone should be able to sense that you're doing it. And also the transparent world that they established literally in the last 30 to 40 chapters of the series. Oh, I can see through this. I can see their muscles. I can see their heart. I can see how they're breathing and tensing up their muscles. And then all the other Hashiras been knowing how to do this. Or they just learned right at that moment. I'm like, okay, the transparent world. Thank you. This is a new element I just seen and found out. You guys know this style well as well now. This is great. It's great. Such a great fighting mechanic. I love it. When I get the high voice, that means that I'm capping. I'm letting y'all know that right now. And the last thing I want to touch upon, and this is a nitpick. I'm not gonna lie, this is a nitpick. The love relationship between Iguro, the serpent Hashira, and Kanroji, the love Hashira. I just felt like that relationship was forced. It's not really touched upon throughout the series. In fact, when you see it throughout the series, you just think it's a big brother, little sister type of deal. No, they're in love. And they touch upon that within the last few chapters, saying, if I'm reincarnated, will you marry me? Yes. If I'm reincarnated, would you take me? I'm like, where the F did the sipping come from? Where did the sipping come from? Why is this just now being introduced? Why is this now being a focal point with these characters? Y'all wasn't making this no type of point earlier within the series. I just did not dig that love relationship. And can we also talk about how none of the actual loving relationships are actually established, but at the end, when they have the, oh, our descendants or our predecessors or whatever. They're all in the modern day, but they all look like us. They're all basically reincarnated versions of us at the same age. What the F was that? I don't get it. How did Rengoku have a kid when he died? How? Shout out to Cash for bringing that point up to me. But how? How? I'm just asking the questions here. The whole reincarnated part, it was dumb. And can we talk about one more thing? I gotta talk about one more thing. In chapter 201, when Muzan passes his will to Tanjiro, so Tanjiro could live as a demon. That is the most stupidest thing that I've ever seen in my life. But I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. If you are new to the channel, you have not already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like the video, and I gotta give a huge shout out to the producers of the channel. Who are the producers? Oh, you mean the Patreon pledgers. For going ahead and financially supporting the channel, guys, I highly appreciate what you guys are doing for me, financially donating on Patreon. And I gotta give a huge shout out to the YouTube members for also financially donating on the YouTube side of things as well. Big shout out to Broke Boy Gang. Yes, sir, this was a long video, but it was needed for this conversation that we had to have on Demon Slayer, and y'all owe me for this one. This video better get a lot of likes on this, because I spilled my heart out on this one. But like I said, thank you guys for watching. Dark Sage out. Peace.